Hi, welcome to the Mishnah on Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. This is a review video for Unit 3, sheet number 13. This is material that we've covered in class. The Mishnah, which I haven't read to remind you that now that we're back in a halachic sugya, Tannaitic material is always in red. HaKorer HaMegillah L'Mafreya Lo Yatsa. Someone who reads the Megillah out of order does not fulfill their obligation to read Megillah. Kara al peh. Kara targum b'chol lashon lo yatsa. One who literally read it by heart, but we would say in English recited the Megillah by heart, or one who read it translated into any other language, did not fulfill one's obligation. Aval korino tel lo azot b'laz, but you can read it to speakers of a foreign language in that foreign language. And a foreigner, a speaker of a non-Hebrew speaker, who heard it in Hebrew, who heard the Megillah read in Hebrew, did fulfill their obligation. Kara serugin umit nemnem yatsa. A person who reads it sort of starting and stopping, not continuously, or who reads it while sort of falling asleep, dozing off, that person has fulfilled their obligation. Haya kotva dorsha umigiha im kiven libo yatsa v'im lav lo yatsa. If one was writing the Megillah, like in the process of being a scribe, writing it down, or explaining the Megillah, sort of being involved in midrash on the Megillah, or correcting a Megillah, sort of pronouncing it to oneself in order to make sure that the girsa is correct. If during any of these activities one had intent, one had kavanah to be yotzei the mitzvah, then you have fulfilled the mitzvah, and if not, then that person has not fulfilled the mitzvah, even though they actually did the act of reading through the Megillah. Haytak tuva besam uvesikra uvekumus uvekankantum al haniyar ve'al hatiftara lo yatsa ad shetehek tuva asheritz al hasefer uvedyo. So one who, or if it's written, I'm not going to translate these terms, in sam, sikra, kumus, or kankantum, on niyar or diftera. So all of these are talking about writing materials, right? The materials you use to write it and the material on which you write it. Any of these things, which the Gemara will explain later, you have not fulfilled your obligation just because you read from a Megillah that wasn't written properly, essentially, until it is written in Hebrew language and Hebrew lettering, on parchment and with ink. That's the end of the Mishnah. Rashi just clarifies a few points here. I'll just make sure you've seen all of those. Lo azot, Rashi says, Kol she'eino lashon hakodesh nikra laz. Anything that's not Hebrew, that's not the holy language, is called laz. Ulakaman parich v'ha marta kara b'chol lashon lo yatsa. And lakaman, later on, the Gemara will ask, parich is to ask, the Gemara will ask the following question, but didn't you say that if you read it in another language, you haven't fulfilled your obligation? In other words, the Gemara notices, as we did in class, that there's a contradiction here. On the one hand, the Mishnah says you can't read it in any other language. On the other hand, the Mishnah says, well, if you read it to lo azot, to non-Hebrew speakers in a non-Hebrew language, you did fulfill your obligation. So the Gemara is going to ask about that. Serugin, this idea of reading it starting and stopping, Rashi just says, B'Gemara mefaresh korema atu posek, v'chozero posek. That this is someone who read a little bit, stopped, and then goes back, and then stops again. He kotva haya kotva odorsha. This is the example where you're writing the Megillah or explaining the Megillah. Rashi explains, umitoch kach kora im kiven libo yatsa. The activity, whatever activity you're doing with the Megillah, you're reading it in order to do that activity. So if you have intent to also fulfill your mitzvah to read Megillah, then you have fulfilled your obligation. Diftera v'niyar mefarish b'gemara. Rashi just tells you, don't worry, those terms will be explained later on. And finally, al hasefer, Rashi tells you, which I think we already knew, that al hasefer means cloth, means it has to be written on parchment. Okay, we will stop here, and the next sheet will begin the Gemara on this Mishnah.